I'd be remiss if I didn't start off talking about risk management, because I'm going to tell you right now that there is nothing more important than risk management, and I mean nothing. It is super, super critical. Running close behind risk management is psychology and reward to risk ratios, but I can tell you right now for sure, guaranteed, if you don't have proper risk controls in place, you're definitely not going to make it in this business. I'm being 100% upfront and honest with you. I've been trading now, like I said, for over 30 years. I've dealt with lots of different clients when I was a broker. Nobody ever lasted who didn't have impeccable risk controls. And unfortunately, most people opened up accounts in order to get rich quick, even though they said that they weren't trying to do that. Well, oh yes, they were. Now, generally, we advocate never risking more than 1% of your risk capital. That's the amount of money that you have in your trading account. Don't risk more than 1% of that when you make a trade. Now, by the way, that's a huge piece of advice right there. Take note of that. Okay. In my Coach's Guide course, I do say you can go up to 2%, but frankly, I'd just much rather see it at 1% or so. And don't think for a second that you can't make very nice returns while only risking 1% on a trade. You can make very good returns while risking only 1%. I'll talk about that in just a bit. Now, on that note, let's talk a little bit about what I mean when I say very nice returns. A lot of people want to, what do you mean by that? Well, and this is all about expectations, and this area of trading is just huge. I mean, what are your expectations coming into this game? See, it's just critical that you have the right expectations coming in. Let's just say, if you expect to be making like 100% returns per month, I can't help you. And I know that there's lots of sites on the internet that promise that and a lot more, and it's just, it's out and out misleading. And well, I won't even say more than that. That's my opinion on it. I know it sells courses, but I think you really owe it to yourself to find out the truth about trading before you go committing your hard-earned money. So what's realistic? Well, first and foremost, the most important thing is capital preservation. It's got to be at the heart of your trading plan. And we talked about that already. But as far as how much you can make, I got to tell you, it's a difficult question to answer in a sort of a blanket way. Okay, it's going to depend on several factors, and I'm going to just talk about those in a bit. But it's going to be your own willingness to adhere to certain principles. Okay, it's going to boil down to your discipline and your ability to take a trade when it sets up, and to your awareness about the trading environment before you get into a trade. So that means, like, is it safe to trade? Or is there any big news announcements coming out as you're about to trade? That's dangerous. Okay, it's also going to come down to your focus and your commitment to a solid plan and your consistency and on and on. So you can see that, there's lots of factors that can dictate whether or not you're going to be successful. But I know that you all want some numbers. Okay, all I can tell you is this. There are many traders who are now trading consistently profitable who I've worked with. Some of them make over 100% a year or more. A few around 80%. One guy who's still in university, he hooked up with Jared Davis, who runs our Live Connect service, and he co-authored that. We have a course called High Reward, Low Risk. He did that course with me. And this guy from university returned about 90% last year in his account. Pretty darn good for a student. And then another fellow who's actually one of the moderators in our Live Connect service, Chris Mathis, has been kind enough to track his actual real-time results from his personal account and post them for everyone to see. And that's just following one of the patterns that we teach in our Live Connect. And Chris started working with us back in kind of later June in 2009. And he only trades MACD divergence. That's it. One of the patterns that we teach, following certain guidelines. And he's returned about 70% in his account over the last 7 months or so. Okay. Now, I mean, I can go on, but I think you get the idea. And I think that these results are just absolutely outstanding. All of this was with very, very little risk, like only 1%. All the guys I just mentioned never risked more than 1%. And just think about that. If you've ever had an account go really bad on you, or maybe blown out an account or two, think of the difference had you never risked more than 1% on a trade. Now, let's get honest here. Most people who start trading don't make it. I just talked about a bunch of people who have done very well. But most people don't make it. Why is that? Because they completely, or mostly anyway, ignore what I just told you. They have no risk management, no consistent game plan, no discipline, no focus, some of the above and all of the above, or whatever, right? All the losing traders are just as consistent at not following these things as the successful traders are at following them, right? You want to align yourself with what the successful traders are doing, right? Makes sense? And as far as how long it's going to take you to get to having consistent results, there's no set answer. It might take a matter of a few months, might be a few years. That, hey, you know what? Start small and be patient. Treat this as a business. If you've got an education in any other field, it's going to take you months or years to learn. This is not any different. But you can really fast track it through the kind of things that we teach here for sure. But like I say, start small, be patient, learn to trade with control and discipline. There's nothing wrong with starting off, for example, with a micro account or a demo account. Like, why commit your good hard-earned money when you have zero history of being able to consistently profit from the markets following a game plan day in and day out? Doesn't make much sense, does it?